Everything is about to change for the Habs. As many of you know, David Reinbacher is now easily less than a week away from coming over to North America, but that isn't stopping a lot of people from being very skeptical, and we have to go over some of the big challenges that he is about to face as soon as he gets here. That, plus a note on the Habs versus Flames games, as the top line keeps rolling. Caufield snaps his goalless streak, and despite the loss, there is a lot to be positive about. So stick around for all of that on this episode of Habs Digest. But before we get into the video, guys, I just wanted to remind you that over half of you watching are not subscribed. I know I asked for likes yesterday. You guys almost hit 1,000 likes in this video. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. But hey, if you're still part of that crowd that hasn't hit the subscribe button and you like our daily content, hit it now. You won't regret it, I promise. We're going to jump first into the Habs versus Flames game, and the tank keeps rolling, Jesse. But before we get into the game, just wanted to mention quickly, of course, Martin St. Louis is going to be away from the team indefinitely for family reasons. We're not going to dive too much into that. No speculation, none of that. So just shout out to you, Marty. Prayers for you and your family. Hope everything's going good. But the game, Jesse, let's go in here. And Slafkovsky, Suzuki, Caufield connecting on a goal was the big thing tonight. Of course, Savard gets the other one, and I'm sure we'll touch on Cayden, Primeau. But just to see these guys connect again, Slav making another little dirty play right to Suzuki, crossed for a one-timer for Caufield. It was magical almost to see this happen again. So glad he's back on the score sheet. And hey, the Habs have 2 20-goal scorers this season again.
Yeah, there was a lot of open ice in that first period, very good, getting a high volume of shots on Dustin Wolf, but, couple posts tonight, Matheson having a really good opportunity, right? Couple others there, but I mean, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, right? We had our opportunities, like this game, it maybe got out of hand a little bit in the third, but we were right in there until the end, right? There was that one questionable call on Slav, in my opinion, very soft, right? Which, it's the game's 3-2. We kind of have a chance to get back in. And of course, they score that power play goal from Kadri 4-2, right? And the rest was kind of history there. And, with Primeau, you have to feel bad for him. It's just, going against another young goalie, Dustin Wolf. You had to feel like, just for him personally, like, this is a big game. Like, Dustin Wolf now maybe a little bit more highly touted, right? But against your peers, especially, those are those more personal games where you want to say, like, I'm a young, potentially star goalie too, right? So unfortunately, that Primeau couldn't win this battle here. That would have been a nice one for sure. Dustin Wolf playing amazing, made some amazing saves. So we're getting our shots right on net tonight. But you have to feel like, all things considered, not the worst effort.
No, and like you said, they were holding their own. The Habs outshot the Flames pretty badly in this game. The Habs nearly touching 40 shots. When was the last time you saw that? The Calgary defense was allowing plenty of Habs chances. And like you said, that 7th-round pick versus 7th-round pick goalie duel is kind of a wild thing. You don't see that too often in the NHL. Dustin Wolf for a 7th-round pick. My gosh, he's good. But yeah, like the Habs did okay throughout most of the game at limiting too high a volume of chances, but there was a lot of just straight up good chances, like losing track of guys. I forget what his name is on Calgary. That Miramanov, I believe, is his name. That one where he just snuck around the back of the goal, had no one near him on the rebound to put it home. That Kadri one, I know it was on the power play off. I mean, I'll go to the grave, but that was just, I don't know what Slav is supposed to do there. I don't know how you call that a penalty. Soft as well. I agree. Killed the momentum. Habs coming into that third, getting those 2 straight goals, only down a goal, and then that penalty just, I mean, I'm not going to blame the refs for this loss, but at the same time, Jesse, I think holding their own, I mean, Calgary maybe isn't, one of the top teams in the NHL, but they've been surprisingly good over the past few weeks to month. Like, even with all the turmoil going around the team, Huberdeau's starting to bounce back. They're starting to see some success. I think it bodes really well. And even watching the broadcast, like the announcers and pretty much everyone watching this game is saying, holy crap, that Habs top line is a force to be reckoned with. They dominated the Flames all game. And that's been something we've seen every night, even against the higher echelon teams, where Suzuki, Caufield, and Slav are getting everything they want. And it doesn't matter who their opponent is.
No, exactly. It's really amazing to see. And, the power play was kind of looking good early. You kind of wish we could get a little bit more. But again, nice to see Slav kind of shooting it, but again, some of those turnovers, right? It definitely would have been nice to get one from Marty here. But again, a tough time to kind of lose him as we're going into our longest streak on the road of the season kind of coming up here, right? So ideally not the most opportune time. But, all things considered, right? We know the Montreal Canadiens, their top line, they just need that support. We know kind of those reinforcements are coming this summer for sure.
Oh, reinforcements. Well, that is a wonderful transition. Oh, by the way, Habs snapped their penalty kill streak. It sucked at 19 straight penalties killed. Lost that tonight. Unfortunate. But reinforcements. David reinforcement. It works a lot better in text form like you sent me, Jesse. It doesn't work well when you say it out loud. You spell Reinbacher, except you put forcements at the end. Anyway, regardless, David Reinbacher is coming over to the Montreal Canadiens very soon. As a lot of you guys know, Olsen, another team in the NL, or a team looking to go up, they lost their last game. So that means David Reinbacher's EHC Kloten doesn't have to play a playout game, and he is eligible to come over to Laval. And while the Laval Rocket getting a little cheeky, we don't know when, but as soon as we do, you'll know, with an Austrian flag. And Marc-Olivier Baudouin says maybe the 22nd of March. Well, we don't know when exactly. Seems like that's a very possible date, but hey, he's coming over. But Jesse, with David Reinbacher about to come over, look, we've talked at length about some of his strengths and weaknesses this season, but we're seeing a lot of people talk about maybe the fact that he might have some bigger struggles than we thought. Right now, though, we know he's going to come to Laval in the midst of one of their biggest pushes of the season. Of course, they're only 1 point out of a playoff spot. For those of you that don't know, the Rocket just need to finish 5th in their division. A lot of teams make the playoffs in the AHL. I think it's like 20 or 24, something like that. So as long as the Rocket finish in 5th, which they're only 1 point out of right now, they'll make the playoffs. But as one article kind of stated about Reinbacher, he still needs to get stronger and quicker, both on his feet and his decision making, because with the smaller ice, the faster pace of play, that's going to be something like less space and less time to make your decisions. But Adam Nicholas will help him out for sure. Some have touted him as a bust and criticized the selection, and the critiques will definitely come out, Jesse. We know what's going to happen if Reinbacher isn't off to a hot start. Not from us. We're going to praise him every single step of the way. But then they also say it's very unlikely that someone coming over from Europe starts playing really well right away. Look at Mo Seider. Now, of course, he ended up getting SHL Defenceman of the Year very soon after he was drafted. But Reinbacher's had such a tumultuous season, but he's coming over. But do you think these specific challenges, that adjustment of ice size, how big of a problem do you anticipate that to be for Reinbacher? Because for me, it's like a guy who's agile on his feet, a good puck-moving defenseman. I feel like it'll take him maybe less time than we think to adjust to that.
I don't think it's a problem at all. And I think it's such a great thing that we're getting him a little bit sooner than later. We know that the situation in Cloten was less than ideal. So let's just kind of take that Band-Aid off as quick as possible. And I believe that David Reinbacher is definitely going to thrive. He just needs that kind of talent around him, right? Hockey's a team game. He just, obviously in Laval, he's going to have some pretty talented defensemen to kind of work with there, right? Coming at an amazing time. Think of when to really start your North American debut right in the playoffs, really looking to play a big role with the team right away. Now, there definitely will be an adjustment period. And it's not so much of a defenseman thing, but just a European coming over to the North American ice. I mean, we saw that with Slav. It is a real thing. It's a different style of play. There's just a lot, right? You're playing a certain brand of hockey your entire life. It's ingrained in you since you're, 4 or 5 years old, right? So changing that, but obviously, you have to feel like David Reinbacher isn't oblivious to the game that we play over here. He's been preparing himself both mentally and physically to do that. And for me, he's just one of those guys where I'm really not worried about him at all. And I can't wait to see just to kind of prove some of the haters wrong, because for me, he's a really reliable type of guy.
Yeah, but we still have to remember, he's 19 too. I think he's going to be super reliable, but like you said, there's going to be those adjustments. There's going to be those periods where he's young. He makes young person mistakes, and I hope we've learned our lesson with judging Habs prospects too early. Now, it's also fair to criticize someone if they're not playing well. Like, if he goes out there and has a stinker of a game and costs the team the game, it's okay to say, hey, you played bad. You don't have to say you played good every single night. But, the thing with Reinbacher, like, he's coming over with, a quite disappointing season statistics-wise. Though his advanced stats, they did show that he was a bit better than we all thought. So here's the question now. I mean, in Laval, Logan Mailloux seems to be probably Laval's best defenseman. Are we seeing Reinbacher top 4 right away? I think we absolutely have to. I think that his overall impact, turning this team from, like we said, his zone exits are maybe his strongest attribute. Turning this, defense into offense kind of thing is something Laval's going to really need going forward. They have some skilled offensive forwards. They got Xhekaj, but what Simoneau is now out for the season, really unfortunately. So they need that kind of boost. I think we're going to see Reinbacher once he like really gets into a rhythm. I think we're going to see this guy playing almost over 20 minutes a night very soon. I don't want to get too hyped, but Jesse, it just feels like all the stars are aligning for Reinbacher to be like one of these key guys for this Laval playoff push.
Yeah, when Reinbacher comes over, he's automatically going to become the number one defenseman for the Laval Rocket on the depth chart for sure. And what would be nice, and it might take a little bit of just an adjustment period, more just getting familiar with the system, but I could see it not too long of a period at all before the playoffs are over where he's on that PP1, right? And really kind of quarterbacking that. Obviously, we'd like to see him use a little bit more in these type of situations. With Claude, he was on the PP2. I'd like to see Laval. Let's just get him right away, put the spotlight on him, and really kind of nurture him for possibly a potential type of role like that in the future. Because with his mobility again on the power play, right, a guy that can really skate like him, it would be a great option to have.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really curious to see how JF will handles these lines because, I mean, you still got Mailloux, you still got Barron. It's like, these guys, Mailloux is looking to be eventually a Montreal Canadian, one of the best offensive defensemen in the AHL, bar none. Same thing with Justin Barron, realistically, even though his numbers haven't been that great, just pure skill-wise, yeah. But it's going to be very interesting to watch. And of course, Reinbacher, he hasn't played since early March. There's going to be a bit of rust. And of course, he only played, a 35-game season this year, especially coming off that injury earlier the year. It's going to take him a little while to get used to this pace of play, frequency of games as we're going in here. But hey, it's going to be exciting. What do you guys think about Reinbacher finally officially coming over? This is going to be amazing. We're going to be covering a lot of what he's doing in Laval once he does officially get signed. And hey, not too far in the future, we'll have Lane Hutson coming over too. So there'll be lots and lots of more Habs prospect news coming for you guys. But for now, that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you love the videos we do here. Hey, we have them every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, for my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.